let's take a look at the how of savings, how to put a financial system in place in your financial life that works for you. Now, we've already talked about the why of savings, building this capital that you control so you have confidence for the future, so you have security and peace of mind, so that you have stability and guarantees in your financial life, and so you have this solid foundation beneath you. So savings is a very important thing to be able to have this foundation in your financial life. Today, we're talking about the how of savings. How do you actually put it into practice in your life? Where do you put the money? And how do you design a cash flow system for managing your cash flow that works for you? Next, we're going to talk about the what. What exactly is savings? How do we define it? How do we define it differently in our mind from investing? And how do we be very clear on the distinction so that we can take the right action? So as we look at the how of savings, let's first talk about the steps that you want to have to put this in place. The first step of a good savings system is to be aware of your cash flow. Now, we're talking about having a cash flow awareness. When you look at the money coming in to your personal economy and the money going out, we see that the difference between the two is your cash flow. This is what's left over. It's your profit or your surplus. Hopefully that's a positive number. Now, what we want to be doing is looking at where we're spending money. Does that align with our value system? Where is it actually going and how much are we spending? Now, the reason to do this is not really for budgeting purposes, but what we want to do is be aware of what our living expenses look like on a regular monthly basis. The reason is that everything that's left on top is what we actually want to be saving. Now, once we've become aware of the cash flow, we want to set up a very important next step. Most people spend their money through the month, and if there's something left over, they save it. If there happens to be something left over and they didn't actually spend it inadvertently without a plan in the first place, we want to turn that table completely. When we prioritize saving and paying ourselves first, we actually want to do that first before we spend the cash. So if you know what that savings amount is, we want to go ahead and sweep that with an automatic transfer from our personal checking account over to savings. We can call that a sweep account. This is money that we said we're going to take off the top right at the beginning of the month that we know automatically goes into savings. Then you can say, I spend the rest guilt-free, and I don't have to worry, did I actually get around to saving? So instead of having automatic spending or automatic investing and a happenstance of savings, if you will, we want to make savings the priority. So you're paying yourself first. Then let's take a look at what the purpose of the savings is. So savings as a whole is for emergencies and for opportunities. Now, we've discussed this a little bit before, but we want to look at emergency savings is the type of savings that we use for something if we needed to pay our living expenses and we had no income. Or if we came across an unforeseen medical expense or a true emergency that we had to put cash towards, that there was no foreseen way that we could have planned for that. That's what having emergency funds are for inside of your savings plan. Then there's another purpose. On the other side, we want to be saving for opportunities. This means we want to be having the cash and liquidity available to take advantage of opportunities. That means when a deal comes across your attention, you can take advantage of it. You can jump into that opportunity because you've prepared yourself with the cash. Now, here's where I really like to say having savings or setting up savings and having a financial management process and system in your life is really like barrel racing. Let me explain. When I was a teen, between about 14 and 17, my family had horses and I raced in barrel racing competitions and other games like jump figure eight and pole weaving and keyhole. And they're all agility and speed games. My horse and I, Lacey, loved competing. We loved the adrenaline rush. She loved performing for crowds, and the louder people cheered, the faster she ran. It was electrifying for both of us. And we love those 28 seconds in the ring for barrel racing, or 14 seconds or 11 if we really cut down the time for something like keyhole. And what would happen is that moment in the ring where we had the attention, the eyes were on us, that was the focal point. That was really the climax. But it was not the main thing. What really happened behind the scenes was all the conditioning and training and preparation that was required in order to get us to that position. So what the crowd did not see was the hours and hours and hours that we spent just going for long runs, 2 and 3 hour rides in the afternoons and multiple times a day, multiple times a week. And we would spend hours loping or galloping in a circle just to condition and build up endurance. We would take her swimming. And so we would swim where she would be swimming and I'd be riding her and she's carrying my weight and hers and swimming, or running through sand for long hours of time. And we would then work on a lot of the fine tuning. So things like knowing how to have a lead change or stop or pivot with just a small flick of the wrist, or a slight shift in my body posture or my weight. And so she was very responsive because of that training and conditioning. My point is that we can't look at our finances and live for the show. The show is fun when we have that great investment or something really turns out really well and it's flashy, it's newsworthy, it's worth talking to our friends about, it's exciting, but that's not the main thing. In order to prepare for that, we need to condition and have this preparedness in our personal financial life. And that's why savings is so important, because it's the conditioning. It's the process of preparing for that opportunity. So that's the reason why we want to have savings. We want to have the emergency fund to have that peace of mind and the ability to handle anything that comes our way if an emergency were to arise or we lost our income, and then be able to have that opportunity fund of liquid available cash that we can use to take advantage of opportunity. So how does this actually look in your accounts? We talked about having that sweep account. Now let's talk about the balance and the amounts that you want to have in various types of accounts and why. When we look at having savings, we want to have some money that we can access right away within 5 seconds. So we want to be able to access money that's in our house that we don't have to go anywhere to get. We don't have to make any requests. We don't have to drive anywhere, and we're not dependent on an ATM system even. So we would recommend having between 1 and 2 months of cash on hand that you can access that's liquid and available in your home. Beyond that, then we would look at using a savings account for money that you want the access to within 15 minutes. So this is money that you can go to the ATM and retrieve at any given point in time. So it's sitting in a savings account somewhere that you can use. A lot of times people will look at how much to have available in that 15-minute access window as either having 6 to 12 months worth of expenses that are saved in an emergency fund, or they can look at also how much money do I feel comfortable with having in my accounts. So for some people, this might be $5,000. And when they hit below that $5,000 mark, they start feeling anxious or worried and nervous that they don't have enough cash for their comfort zone. So 5,000, maybe it's 500,000. So wherever your amount is that you feel like you want available to you, have that sitting in easily accessible cash. Now, the habit and discipline of savings is something that we never stop. So this is something that as we pay ourselves first, our goal is to have an increase of net investable income. What do I mean by that? As we say, we're setting aside this percentage of our income. Maybe you're starting out at 5%. The goal is to get to 20 to 30% of your income that's moving over to savings, and you're always putting on the side in a place that's liquid and available for you. So even after you've built that comfort level or 6 to 12 months worth of emergency fund, we want to continue the habit of saving. Now we've got the money available in the cash account. Where do we put it next? What we can use is something called specially designed whole life insurance. And this is a contract where you can build up capital, you can save it with safety, liquidity, and growth, and you can be able to access it without request or permission, but you call the insurance company, you ask them to send you a check from the life insurance company, they take a loan out against your policy, and you have a check within a week. Now that's not your 5-second money, that's not your 15-minute money, but this is money that is savings, true savings, because it's safe, liquid, and growing that you can access and then use for opportunities. So in the grand scheme of things, what we want to do is have a system that you know is going to work for you, not something that's an afterthought or a maybe might happen, but really something that you know is a financial process that your life abides by and follows. So this is the rules that work for you at this time. What percentage of your money can you take off the top and sweep into a sweep account now that you know can be savings that's automatic and consistent every month? And then continue to ratchet that up as your income increases or as you have an additional inflow or influx of capital, because what we want to do is you want to always focus on increasing that net investable income. And if you have 30% of 100,000 is 30,000. What about when that income increases to 200,000? Your 30% rule now has you saving 60,000 automatically at the beginning. So use that preparedness to prepare for financial opportunity. Hey, thanks for watching. I really hope you liked this video. If you did, click the link in the description box below for more information. Like this video, share your comments, questions, and feedback in the comments section, and don't forget to hit subscribe to our YouTube channel.